Hey, it's ShadowACS again. You know, I pick on Attack on Titan a lot. And to be fair, not entirely without reason, the show does have elements that do legitimately bother me. And being as popular and well-known as it is, it does kind of make itself an easy target. But I do kind of feel bad for how often I give it flack because I do genuinely like the anime. For all its faults, it's still a truly amazing spectacle of action and epic storytelling and drama. When you get right down to it, it's one of the best anime at what it's trying to do. And after years of waiting, the second season has finally come out. And yes, I know I'm saying this several months after the season's already finished, but it took me a while to get around to actually watching it. But now that I have, I think I might as well do another video revisiting it. This is Attack on Titan Season 2. I don't think I've ever seen an anime get as big as Attack on Titan did when it first came out. When the first season was released in 2013, everyone was talking about it. There were fan-made video games being made of it. Hell, there's even a life-size statue of it at Universal Studios Japan. And of course, everybody wanted a second season. We all knew it was coming. I mean, the first season was such a big hit, how could they not have a follow-up? But the release date for it kept having to be pushed back for various reasons, and it didn't come out until 4 years later. And when it was finally announced, it was revealed it was only going to be half as long. I guess the creators just wanted to put something out there while the show was still relevant. And the most interesting thing about it is, when this long-awaited follow-up season finally did come out, it just kind of came and went. Yeah, people seem to like this season fine. I haven't heard any major backlash from fans saying it destroyed the series or anything. But there wasn't anything close to the explosion of popularity there was with the first season. It's kind of interesting to me because whenever a new season of a show like Game of Thrones comes out, everyone goes nuts for it all over again. But with Attack on Titan, I think enough time had passed that the hype had finally died down. Which is kind of disappointing to me because I actually like this season a bit better than the first. And I suppose I should get into talking about why. The season begins shortly after the first one left off during the aftermath of the battle with the female Titan. Now all the stuck-up twits inside the capital are forced to confront the reality that they can't live inside the safety of the walls forever. On top of that, it's revealed that the Church of the Wallists seem to know a lot more than they've been letting on about what the walls are and how they were created, something that no one else has known up to this point. But there's little time for our main characters to rest, as it would seem that Titans have appeared inside the inner walls without actually having broken through from the outside. A fact which seems completely impossible, so it's up to the military corps to find out what's really going on and uncover the answers to all these mysteries, all while fighting Titans along the way. I gotta say, thank God that this is the direction they've taken this story in. I really hated how the first season spent so much time dealing with these stupid, annoying bureaucrats who didn't see what was really important and just wanted to survive at the expense of everyone else. And that's not what was interesting about Attack on Titan. The best parts were the action scenes and all the plot twists and mysteries about what the Titans were. And here, that's exactly what they focus on throughout the whole thing. So it's a big step up from Season 1 in that regard, but that doesn't mean it's entirely without problems either. One problem I did talk about with the first season, which unfortunately does carry over into this one, is the character cast. And I feel bad saying that, because most of these are not bad characters. Hell, some of them are downright terrific. But the problem is there's just too many of them for what this story is trying to do. There's like 30 characters in this show, and at least a dozen of them have important emotional character arcs that tie directly into the story. And if you're gonna make something like that work, you have to slow down and let us take the time to really get to know them. This is where having filler episodes, for all the people complain about them, can actually be really helpful. They give us more time to get to know the characters without interrupting the story. In fact, they do actually have one episode like this revolving around Sasha's character. And it works. I feel like I know her a lot better than I did before this. But they need to do stuff like this more often if they're going to make us care about these characters when their story arcs start factoring into the plot. Like, there's a couple major, huge plot twists revolving around some of the side characters in this season which should have really emotionally affected me. But instead, I could barely remember who those characters were. And I guess maybe you could argue that's just because it's been so long since I've seen the first season, but I'll be damned if I'm gonna forget the characters from Bleach, Mare, or Full Metal Alchemist anytime soon. But thankfully, that's really my only complaint with this season. Everything that was awesome about Season 1 is done just as great here. The action is just as spectacular as it was before. I think they're using a lot of CG animation here, but they blend it really well. Something about the way they do the animation in this show makes the action seem so intense and realistic. Like, you actually feel like you're flying around fighting Titans. It's just incredible. And I also want to give him credit for telling a story that's not only large and epic in terms of the visuals, but also in the scope of its storytelling. Everything that happens in this show feels big, grand, and important. And every couple episodes there's a big plot twist that keeps you wanting to see what's gonna happen. Though to be fair, I have heard a lot of other people say the twists in the show are really predictable, but I have always been really bad at predicting plot twists, so maybe it's just me. And while I do think the character cast is a bit too ambitious for its own good, what characters I do remember I think are really strong. I'll admit I'm seeing more and more where people are coming from when they say that Aaron's constant anger and moodiness are really annoying, but I'd still much rather prefer this to just having a blank slate with no personality. On the subject of the characters, I should probably mention Levi for a bit, who I didn't really talk about in my review of Season 1 and has since become like the most popular character on the show. Something about his viciously cynical attitude makes him seem pretty badass. Like whenever anyone tries to question what he's doing and whether it's really worth it for them to continue this fight, he doesn't just tell them they're wrong, he gives them a vividly detailed description about how they're all going to be ground into bones by titans. I'll admit, I thought he was pretty cool. Although speaking of cool characters, one other nitpick I have is that Mikasa and Armin don't really have much to do in this season. Those were the two I actually remembered from Season 1. I loved what a stoic, devoted warrior Mikasa was, and Armin's crafty, quick thinking and intelligence. They were such great characters, but it feels like they barely get any screen time in this season. Instead, they choose to focus on the other side characters, which I didn't really care about as much. But at this point, I'm just kinda looking for problems. On the whole, Attack on Titan Season 2 is a really good follow-up. I can't see anyone who loved the first season coming out of this one saying they hated it. It gives you more of exactly what you want to see, amazing action sequences and a booming epic story. All while, in my opinion, fixing some of the first season's biggest problems. I don't think what they fix is enough to convert many people who hated the first season, but then again, if you hated Season 1, I doubt you'd be seeing this anyway. It's got good action, good mystery, good storytelling. Attack on Titan Season 2 is a solid follow-up. This is ShadowACS, and I'll see you next time.